Yeah. One second. I gotta finish this one up. Let me see. Are we done? Let me see. Let me see. Yeah, yeah. I'll put it there. Hold on. Oh man. Peace, man. Hope everybody having a great day. Had a good workout this morning. My other part of my life don't start till around 12:30 today. I'm gonna catch a Uber. Actually, it's called a what is called a Waymo. Out here in Arizona, they have these cars that's driverless. So it's gonna be my first time taking one to GCU. It's gonna be crazy. So keep me in your spirits. But I always have different conversations with different walks of life, you know, and people in the world. What my boy say? I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry about that. Oh, with different walks of life, we talk about business. Peace, Brian. Peace, Noble. And we talk about business and things. And being from Flint, Michigan, hey, you got yours in at 3 a.m. I already know you did. I already know you did, Noble. I already know you did. That's how you go. But yeah, and I have the pleasure to talk to a lot of brothers that get out of prison and you know things like that. And we also talk about you know spirituality, the brain, but we also talk about reality, which is business. So I like to come on here and just you know share things that I share with other people in life because it's more than just one side of science. But a lot of times when brothers be having strikes on their name, you know, like felonies or whatever, blah blah blah. You know, sometimes it may be difficult to apply for certain jobs and things like that, like teaching and things like that. You know, a lot of people go into trucking, you know what I mean, like that. But just to give a little, you know, wisdom, I tell all my brothers never be discouraged, always be encouraged because you may not be able to go to the front door, but if you be the best, if you be the best, you can find the way. What am I saying? A lot of times, things weren't, how can I say, wasn't given to me. When you see a lot of people and they may have these, how can I say it, connections to get things done for people that look like them. Some of them may call them gatekeepers, but I don't believe in that. I believe you just have to find a way. I use that vernacular, but you know, in the midst of that, you have to find a way. What I always tell brothers, I always try to say it. We talk about business, we talk about putting monies together. I always talk about brothers understanding if we can clear our ears out, if we're willing to get a flush and fill and reboot our hard drive. Reboot our hard drive is taking all the things that we may know, no matter if we puffed up with pride. Remove that, no matter if that pride is good or bad. You know, get a flush and fill, get all the stuff outside of you, and then start seeing how things can be lined up per se. I'll give you an analogy. When monies come together, when you're a religious community, if you have these things set up in the proper manifestation, that entity is tax exempt for the federal government, religious and charitable, scientific, educationally. So what am I saying? I would want everything to operate through that entity. You know, I would want everything to. What do you say? Am I coming today? Yep, I'll be there about like 12:30. I'm gonna catch a Wemo. It's gonna be my first time catching one too. Yeah, I'm catching a Wemo. I'm not gonna drive. I don't even feel like driving, but I'm gonna catch a Wemo. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm talking all type of crazy stuff. But yeah, I ain't never caught one before, but like I said, it's a driver's list cab like service or whatever you call it. But yeah. Anyway, and I talk about business and things like that and how to go through. I wouldn't say the back door, but the front door, and have these conversations. I just had the pleasure to be in rooms and see other people operate in these manifestations, where everything operates through that entity. And when people want to do business, I say, I'll give an analogy. You got 20 homeboys, right? And one of their homeboys is a priest. I'm just giving an analogy, right? He's a priest. He's taxes in for the federal government, right? He's like, homies, listen to what I'm saying. We can do somehow. We do it through this entity. Everything can be done through this entity. If we are a community, I broke it down how the temple is set up. I broke it down how my temple in school is set up. So when we have ears to hear and eyes to see, things to start clicking and be like, wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. I see what he's saying. This thing, it goes down. You start getting contracts per se. You start using your funds and you start having these think tanks. And I had the pleasure, they call it in school, it was called the Scholars Roundtable, where I had the pleasure to sit at tables. It wasn't no one who looked like me, but I saw a lot of college kids, they end up getting their own services like the college hunks moving services. I seen a lot of these companies grow. I seen a group of brothers from Indonesia. They got their own synthetic hair store where they sell all the weed, the do rags, all that stuff. I've seen uh, uh, different nationalities come from different countries and states and get their education and go back and say, hey, the blueprint. And so when I speak of things, I met a brother out of prison. We was talking. He was like, man, he really want to do his landscaping thing, but he just don't want to be, a baby boy landscaper. And I like a baby boy landscaper. I'm laughing. I'm like, what you mean? He like, I just don't want to have a truck, blah, blah, blah. I want to get contracts in X, Y, Z and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, if that's the case, what's the first thing you should do? And he was like, what you think I should do, Sheik? I'm at the Thumb Correctional Facility. I'm like, educate yourself on it. I said, educate yourself so much on that. Not only that, of how to do it properly, the X, the Y, the Z's, the overhead, getting used stuff first. You know what I mean? This, that, and the other. Getting the proper equipment, getting your paperwork structured right first, getting all those entities right first. So when you come in the game, when you're doing things on paper and on visual, you ready to go. As you go, now you get into the game of bidding on certain type of contracts when you're ready. If you don't have the equipment, once you understand how to get these certain contractors licensed, if it's general or whatever it is, then you're able to bid. Now you get connection with crews. So all these other avenues, when I tell brothers, you can use your money how to support the organization and have these specific people in position to build a community. A community is built of so much. When I say masons with hands that can build, I call a lot that my Amish community. When I was going to GCU, I met a homie named Khalid, a brother, a Amish. That's how me and my Empress got introduced to St. John's, Arizona, where all the land at, where we first got 40 acres. I ended up getting it, ended up selling it, doing some other things. But I'm never a gatekeeper. I share everything. I show every group of person of where to go and how to find land your own. But everybody say he should get a finder's fee. People should be willing to give this brother a love token for showing that, because most people won't. I'm like, I don't have nothing to hide. I want everybody to have a piece. I want everybody to be able to have their homestead, per se, if that's what you want to do. There's no gatekeeping here. But information is wisdom, and information is wealth. A lot of times, brothers and sisters, for the lack of information, you may pay more for something than if you had the pleasure to be like, let me sit down and talk to the brother and see, am I going in the right direction? You may get enlightenment on what you're doing, because I never tell nobody what to do. You just want to be the best at whatever you do. If you're selling rocks, if you're selling shoes, or whatever. I just want you to be in the best position to do that. Do you got your wholesale license? Do you know what I mean? Do you got your peddler's license? XYZ, all these things to where you can say, okay, you can see that dollar being used the right way and not getting a discount, but getting wholesale. All these avenues to what we will talk about. So those are some of the things in our culture where I say we don't have the pleasure to talk about, because we talk about the Lord, this and that, and if this not right, if these people not right, if this science not right, if this not, which all that is building up the body per se, and we're going to get to that. But I just wanted to share a lot of conversations that I see with individuals, especially that's been in prison, that come out and find a way and be successful. When those that's been out for all their lives say, oh man, I can't and I don't want to do this. And I tell people, I see brothers in locked up that I deal with that have all my books. The parents be hitting me up like, hey, she such and such was watching video, when they was on, rec, but he was able to watch the videos and just wasn't asked, blah blah blah, X Y Z. And I tell brothers we don't have to get locked up to be attentive to what can help us in real life when we come together. So, what I'm saying is, we have to have these conversations to see how things to be done. Because when I'm talking about conglomerates, when I talk about, it's so many brothers that have these skills that we so spread. We can really, if you really think about it, brothers, we can really own a community. Like I'm from Flint, Michigan. I'm in Arizona, but I reside in Vegas here in Michigan. I got homies in St. Louis. I got homies in Muftis in Baltimore, Washington, Sacramento, Texas, Atlanta, Florida. I got some other brothers in Miami. But make a long story short, coming together, using your resources. When I tell people the blueprint can be done, especially in so-called urban cities or what they call the hardest hit fun areas where a lot of us may grew up. Like I said, I grew up in the city of Flint, Michigan. It was beautiful. But now the plight it's a lot of plight. A lot of abandoned homes, a lot of abandoned properties. When I was in the city, I show people how many abandoned churches it is for sale. You just got to imagine if a group of people was like, hey man, we want to take over an area and we see the vision, we buy one of these buildings, turn to the Temple of School, we have a big library, a big community center, skill center, young nobles, young empresses, really doing things, really showing the whole schooling, because it's a schooling. It's not a church per se. We're the church, but it's a schooling. In Egypt, they had the mystery schools. So what I'm saying is, in these areas, and using your tools, using your keys, sitting down and be like, wait a minute. Because the Great Migration is brothers and sisters coming together in a certain geographic area. Using the internet, using all this, using the resources, coming to an understanding like, wait a minute, I see this. And none of this is hard. And so when I talk to a lot of my brothers in prisons and things, because I understand a lot of them getting out, but I do understand the importance when I tell people we don't have to get locked up to get on this level of what? Understanding, of brotherhood, of unity, of not making excuses, being like, let me be part of this community so I can sit down and see. Because the internet is used for this. It's a good tool when it's used the right way. It's an excellent tool. So when I talk about, like contracts and people coming together and like, say if you know how to work with your hands and do all this, but you might not have the funds. You might have funds per se, but you might not have all the funds it costs to get these licenses and things to better your life and better your community and have some skills. You're a part of the community. Now you say, man, I think I have the aptitude to get this contractual license or this general contractor license. Boom. That becomes an asset to the community. Just like when I tell people, it's nothing fake about getting houses in a certain urban community. None of that stuff should be fake. Nobody, just like a lot of stuff we see on TV when these people play this house game with people and all that, all this stuff can be simple. The only people get tricked in those things like that is people that want to be tricked. Because none of this a simple game. The first things you want to do before you throw any money at anything is what? Educate yourself on it. See if some people really doing it with some small funds. And I can show you what's being done right now in our city with a couple of guys that I know. That's why I say everybody have a specific skill, with this team that I'm working with and that I'm a part of. And then it's gonna come together like Voltron. It's gonna come all together. Because you need that in the body. One body in many parts. And this is what I teach as a community. And then, even though brothers doing that, trying to pull their money together, I say, but wouldn't it be beautiful if you operate on this auspices of what I'm talking about as a religious community? So if you're working, think about what Sheik is saying. The money that you're giving away can be ciphered to what? Your religious community. Our ears are not open. A lot of brothers say, oh man, brother's not on that. And I say, on what? On law, on the system. If you're making money, it says you have the right to what? To donate to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. So just say if that religious and charitable contribution of your choice is making $100 million a year, what should that religious and charitable organization or community be doing in that neighborhood that's grossing that type of money that's tax exempt from the federal government, religious and charitable and scientific, and can give you a tax exempt receipt to claim on your taxes to offset your taxes? If that entity is grossing, just hypothetically, $100 million a year, what do you think that can happen in an urban community, brothers and sisters? Off what? Money that's being given to Uncle Sam willingly. And everybody's stakeholders. What? Look at the dynamics that will happen. Look at the schools. Look at the libraries. Look at the homes in our religious community that can be private, that can change the dynamics. This is what I'm talking about. I understand the spiritual aspect of everything. That's why I say we can out Muhammad. We can out Jesus, per se, and argue on those things. But when we talk about things in reality that can really change the dynamics of a group of people, that can have a nation inside of a nation, it's only one answer. It's only one way. This is a tool. Everybody, no matter how they feel religiously or how they feel personally about myself, which that's okay, you can't deny what I'm saying. You go in contract and business with yourselves. You go in contract and business with yourselves. You re-educate yourself on what the things that you can do when you are a religious community, especially if you're working, even if you're a hustler. Because only thing that's going to happen to a person that's in the streets is if you get out, Islam, whatever, if you go to prison, those are two ways. If you pass and something happen, that may happen. But a lot of times it's not on the positive for those people that choose that particular lifestyle. Today, what I'm saying is all that can be used for the good of the community. Watch this. A lot of rich people and entertainers, they give to these organizations. Like when Drake give money, when Oprah give cars away, they are feeling a tax obligation, which is a good thing. They're giving cars away and they're doing this, but they're still fulfilling a tax obligation. Even when we feel a certain way personally about Donald Trump, and I said most misnumbered black people are emotional, and I say, well, if someone's breaking the law, well, let's see what the law says. If there's no law being broken, then we're emotional about it. We may not like it. It might be unethical, but a lot of times things are not against the law. So a lot of times when these specific people or these individuals have amassed a great part of wealth, they don't give to Uncle Sam. They call it philanthropy. Now, they may give to their nonprofit organizations that their family may run or other individuals that they're dealing with run. And that's how they make others rich, their children rich, this rich, blah, 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 blah. Do you see what I'm saying? But us as a people, what we do, we give it all away to a private banking system. And they don't understand that we are a private banking system. And all I'm trying to do is re-educate or educate our people that agree on some things, that can do some things. Very simple. And be a part of things no matter how far or how close you are. These are the things that can be done in reality. These are the things that can be done in reality. When it really, really clicks, like when I have the pleasure to speak with my European Jewish community, they're already doing it. The Amish community, they're already doing these things. I promise you, I had the pleasure I'm in Arizona. I had the pleasure to speak with what's them young European kids that be riding a bike, the Albion kid. What is they, Mormon? I think they Mormon or Latter Day Saints. They might be Mormon. I can't even remember. But they caught me one day. I'm outside. I'm getting ready to go do my thing. And they called me, "Hey brother, do you believe in God?" I said, "Hey," I said, "Who knows?" I said, "Do you?" He was like, "Well, yeah, brother." I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "Well, enlighten me, because I'm always pleasurable. I'm never in the essence of to hurt anyone." But hey, make a long story short, a lot of times I'm able to have these conversations with different nationalities when I can show them something, when they can see it. But the thing that I wanted to really speak on is the organization and the community aspect. When you see things happening and you like, well, how is this happening? Who's sponsoring this? What is going on? Just like when I tell my brothers and sisters, listen, how can I say it? Programming has conditioned us not to have these conversations and to talk about things that's really meaningless, like who was the first or what was the first name of man and all these things that's meaningless. Why we struggle, why we on welfare, why we don't understand that we're not 14th Amendment citizens and all this stuff. When I speak up on these subjects, I say this is how you can build your religious community. If people are listening, especially if you're working or no matter what, you can donate. You can donate. You can put money in the so-called tithe box. Think about what I'm saying. So when you think on this mass scale, how rich these churches be. I show you on a small level. Let's think on a small level. 300 people donating $100 a month is $300,000 a year. That's just on a small, and that's $25 a week from people. So now you got to imagine on a big global scale to see you can just start doing the numbers and be like, damn. And a lot of people that don't go anymore but still donate. Then you see where these churches are. No disrespect. You see where these pastors are. Do these pastors live in the city? You want the mayor, you want the city council to live in the city. But here it is, a brother that hold a same position, because that's what they say. They got positions. I'm somebody important in the city, but they don't live in the city. So where is the money being gone? Because a lot of these churches, the church has been paid for. A lot of these churches have been paid for 10 times over. So when you look back at the community, why is the community raggedy? The community, the church, which is tax exempt, should be able to say, wait a minute, and sit down and say, we need to develop how? Around this. And really understand these dynamics. Even when you have when areas is structured as farm, when you have these certain type of farm animals, you're under different taxes. This also for education as well. That's why when you get land away from communities, from neighborhoods and things, like we have 10 acres, there's certain things that you can do when you're not in a so-called neighborhood. You have to know this so people don't be telling you can do anything in a neighborhood. No, you can't. No, you can't. The local law and the state laws trump everything. Don't pay your taxes in the neighborhood to see what happened. And you own a house with all these liars and see what happened. I bet you I know something gonna happen and you do too. Nobody in no neighborhood, in no community don't talk about they own a house outright without paying taxes. If they telling you that, they just lying. Because if they do they own the land or the house? Do they own the land or the house? If they own the house, tell them to jack the house up and take it with them. If you own the land, then what? Tell them to take the house. If you own the land and the house, then what? I mean, that's a whole nother topic. I want to stay in context. Because we got a few more minutes on this specific topic that I want to share. It's like my pre-topic. Because I have these conversations and I've seen them work. I show people how, even in The Sopranos, I show people, even though we look at things on the wrong eye, it's always a underlying message. Art, a lot of times, portrays life. and people don't understand the other avenue of what Sopranos was really, really going on right in your face, and people didn't see it. People didn't see it. Remember, I tell everybody, you're tax exempt for the federal government, religious, charitable, scientific, educational. You have to use those funds when you're working to either you're going to give it to Uncle Sam or you're going to use it to support your religious and charitable and community organization of your choice. That's just something that you cannot avoid. Therefore, I'm just giving an analogy. Say you got 1,000 people rocking with you that's working, no matter how much or how little they're making. Each one of those individuals is allowing Uncle Sam to take a percentage out their money, out taxes, out their check. I'm not saying if it's lawful or this and that. That's not my subject, so please stay in context. I'm not telling you what's legal or illegal. I'm telling you what can be done. All the rest of the stuff you say for those people that got some magic trick that can tell you how to get to Friday without going through Thursday. That ain't my mission. I don't have no trick. So, if that's the case, no matter how much or how little that you're making, I'll just use an analogy, something basic. Say if you make $40,000 a year, right, after taxes. Not before taxes, because that's how you get taxed. They tax you on your gross before, it's taxed. That's just how it is. What you mean? Yeah, they tax you on your money before it's taxed. That's what it is. So, if that's the case, say you make $40,000, right? And so, some people let Uncle Sam take the most out their check. Some people say, well, I'm going to file exempt for this amount of time that I'm going to, go back to blah, 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 which, whatever. But I just said the religious laws trump all this stuff. So, if that's the case, and say you don't have any small tax deductions, none, zero. So you have no tax deductions, nothing. You will owe Uncle Sam something. You will. Wouldn't you want to build something and say, hey man, and then a lot of times I tell people it don't even have to be all of it. It could be a small percentage. You can decipher some of it and say, well, whatever, I'm gonna decipher this. I know what I'm giving, I know what's being took out, I can do this, get a tax exempt receipt, bam, if you're responsible. But a lot of us are not responsible. Because we don't know what money coming in, we don't know what's being taxed, so we really don't know what we have. How? Because we give it all to somebody else per se and let them tell us. But we're not telling nobody what we want done, what you have. See, that's your right, which we don't understand at this level. And I'm trying to educate us on these things. I promise you, it's very simple. I promise you. And so if that's the fact, if this is a fact, which everybody can say, yeah, it is a fact. Then, when those funds coming in, the mission should be what should be done. The temple and school should be bought. If we have people that work with their hands, we dealing with the city, we dealing with land bank. A lot of people don't even know what land bank is, how we get those properties. A lot of times, the way we operate it as a religious and charitable community organization, sometimes we may get a lot of stuff donated to us. I'm telling you, I've done this a lot in my city of Flint. If you have people to do these things, then we fix them up. If not, we don't want no old house that's going to take too much money to put in. It will be upside down. We'd rather just have the land and do what? Put the little sub, base, and then put a modular home on it. Not no little cheap stuff, a nice, beautiful, nice modular home, one level. Change the game. No need to fix up something that was made in the early 1900s with all that old stucco and all that crap in there. No, it's gone. It'd be less to get that off the land, and it'd be cheaper to bam, 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 redeveloped. All done, fabbed, boom. So What I'm saying is, family, tools and keys to community, nations in a nation. What I showed what the prophet was doing. And I said what the Noble Drew Ali was doing was solid. It's just we got to this level and a lot of brothers has dropped the ball. Trying to say it's an Islamic set, trying to say it's a governmental set, all that stuff, which is wasn't. The Moorish Zion Temple of America was a school, a temple and school. I have the state booklet. Anybody want the state booklet? I told y'all, it's nothing else to question. When you have these keys and when you have a clear understanding, it's no reason to say, well, oh, such and such said and such and such. It ain't no reason what such and such said. It don't matter what some old person said or what some young person said or what I've said. If it can't be, if you can't reach back and be like, this is valid. If it don't make you feel good about it, if it make you feel good like, or you gonna get in trouble or you sneaking, you ain't doing none of that. I'm giving examples of life of people that really do things that can have a nation in a nation, and in a nation it takes what? Fiat, whatever these individuals want to call it. It takes that. And we can't be afraid to talk about that, especially those of us that understand that tool, especially all of us that's working. And we have to really be honest. Everybody is working. And if you're not, and if you entrepreneur, then you working. Why? Because you're not working for food. You're not working for shelter. You're not working for clothing. You're working for what? Well, you get over here for fiat. Oh, fiat. Well, you're working for fiat. You ain't working for no gold. You ain't working for no stupid Bitcoin that ain't backed by nothing either. So when we have these conversations as adults and as philosophers and as nobles and as Moors and empresses and whatever we want to call ourselves, I think we should be literal with some of the things that we're talking about and be like, yeah, like it do take some form of finance. It does. But isn't it beautiful to talk about some things and have a cipher where you can be like, okay, well, wait, yep, I'm working, yep, I do pay taxes. And then I ask every adult, do you think you're getting a tax return? A lot of brothers and sisters, no matter if you're being misinformed or your ego may be high, whatever, they'll say, yeah, I'm getting a tax return. And I'll say, well, how are you getting a tax return? How are you getting a tax return? And what's being returned was already yours. And you're only getting a small fraction or a small tittle of what was taken from you the whole year. So if that's the case, for all my brothers and sisters that may understand or may not, you can research. You have the right to donate to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice and get a tax-exempt receipt. So these organizations is multi-million-dollar organizations. Who's being taken advantage of these situations and these organizations that's set up in this status? Is it the people or is it just the entity and the so-called preacher? Because for me, it's the community. I'm part of the community. You part of the community. So it's we. We take advantage of all these tax brackets. We, not me. We. The shepherd, the brother, the mapping guy, once these things going, don't stay outside the community. Yeah, you might have a residence here and there, after this and that and the other, but your base is a community. Your domicile, where you spend the most of your time, is in the community. Right? So, I'll be wanting to share this with brothers and sisters and show them that, man, we can do anything we want to do, especially if these principles is understood. Okay. My bad, girl. But yeah, man. That's the only way things can happen, and I hope brothers understand that. A lot of stuff that I do as I'm gonna be going on campus later, because I would ask a couple students, and I say, we got to understand that people can make their own way. If other people done these things, and now you see their last name is in front of a multi-billion things, you see lecturers doing all this. I tell people, and you see people have their own counseling and dealing with behavioral health therapists and all this. I'm telling brothers and sisters, we can build our community. We can have a religious community like everyone else. I'm telling you, it can be done. It can be done. But when I talk about wisdom and when I talk about these situations about business, that I have a background in that. And that's why I just come on here and share things with my people. I say, listen, I'm sharing something with us. If people give, I always told my muftis, I said, if universities and students were going to give me donations to speak about this, I'm going to come on here and do it. And talk to my people to continue to court them until things happen. You know, that's why I said this is the push movement, persistence until success happens. Success is measured on different levels. I know this can happen. I'm not proving nobody wrong. I'm proving everything that I know, everything that the Creator showed me, everything that I see in my awakening, in my night, in my dream, in my contemplation, in my meditation. I know it can happen. Why? Because it's real. I know that, and it can be done, and nobody's lives will be affected. That's how I know. It just have to click. And if it's with the majority of my people that look like me, or the minority, or the less of the people that look like me, if it click on with others, those are the ones that understand the sound of my voice. And when I talk about this business thing, y'all, what I'm dealing with in the other aspect, I'm dealing with a lot of people that don't look like me. These are things that's happened when you able to sit. When you able to sit, when people be like, well, okay, well, I don't want to give this to Uncle Sam. I want to just give me a taxes and receipt, young brother, because I got to give it to Uncle Sam anyway. And if we can do this, you can give me a taxes and receipt. Yep. It goes over our heads. It goes over our heads because we don't have those conversations. We're working. We're giving the majority of our wealth away willingly. I say this over and over, and they say, how? I said, if the majority of us working, if the majority of every Moor is working, or every light seeker, or everyone that says, yes, we do need to have a temple in school. Yes, we do need to have the thought process change and have the wisdom. Even when I talk about in school that McGraw, those books, I can show y'all where that mess came from. I can show y'all families. I can show y'all how we was miseducated. I can show y'all Eurocentric propaganda, Negrocentric propaganda from scholarship. And the people that look like you, that's promulgating that stuff, all they can do is be quiet and sit on their hands. I'm telling you, we need that. Our babies need that. Because if our babies got the wisdom that we have now as an adult, it'll change the paradigm of the world. They'll know for a fact. It'll change the paradigm. It'll change what's going on. You will see fezzes and turbans and bonnets and everything where on our babies at a young age, because they'll understand the importance of what? Their chiefdom. They'll understand that without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's what the world needs to see. That's the resurrection. So every organization, I saw my professor in them, their Jewish school when I first moved out here. I'm going to go back by there. It's on the other side of town. I forget what town we stayed in. Litchfield Park area. And they had the small Jewish daycare, elementary. Then they built a big high school. All right there. My professor from GCU. And he was like, well, you got the blueprint, young brother. He was like, when brothers be talking about grants and all this, that's later down the line. But he was like, the people. He was like, they don't understand. He was like, we teach this at a young age. When Jews, they split their money 3 ways. They understand the dynamics of it. They understand about tax codes, all this, because it ain't just preaching in the synagogues. You may think that because a lot of people are not students. Just like in the pyramids in ancient times, those were mystery schools. Those were schools. So if money is a tool, then you need to be schooled on how to use that tool. That's very simple. How? To do some of the work that you want to be done. When you understand all this stuff, even law is a tool. When people be thinking somebody, oh, this not the law. How you know? because you don't like how I feel to you. You may say it's unethical. Okay, well, companies, when you die, they have insurance on you. You may say it's illegal. I'm telling you, it ain't illegal. You may say it's unethical, but so what? It's not illegal. So nobody cares how a person feel about that. You see what I'm saying? When you look at things and you look at blueprints and you look at things, you be like, well, damn, wait a minute. Like, this is factual. Like, damn, it is. There's too many of us giving all our money away to Uncle Sam, and we can do this, and we said we part of this, and we like what the brother's saying. We can get everything for free. Books, this, everything, how? Because look, we members, we donate. Like, it comes with it. You can have this magnanimous temple in school, especially if you got brothers that's rocking with you, that's in a higher tax bracket. That's why I tell y'all, man, athletes from communities, that's why they'll never build none in a community, because it's not going to be educated to them. In their finance classes or their money classes or whatever you want to talk about, this is not going to be taught to them. It's not going to be taught to them to have their nonprofit organization, or if you have a group of brothers and everybody take different routes, and one of your brothers is a divine minister, no matter what route of spirituality they take, that means that divine minister is an organization, is a community. He or she is tax exempt from the federal government. So if y'all homies, y'all grew up in the hood, y'all have some of the same desires, some of the same passions, some of the same things you want to see done in the community. What? Education, spirituality, homes. That can be done through your organization. And the money, the wealth that you're giving away to Uncle Sam each year for the taxes can be ciphered to your religious and charitable contribution of your choice. Not only you, all your homies, and all your homies, and all your homies, and all your homies, and all your homies that is not athletes, that have good, successful jobs, and others that have, if you want to call them regular jobs, that live a good life. All that, all those people and all those different levels of success or wealth can go to that same body that everybody know, that their friend or their brother, whoever you want to call it, has took that route. That's how it can be built. It's that simple. It's that simple. It is. And when it's being taught like that, and when it's shown like that, you can be like, damn, like it is that simple. So if it's that simple, then you have to look back at self and say, okay, well, why haven't we jumped on this bandwagon? Why haven't we gave it a try? Because somebody will say, well, they gave such and such a try, and he ain't opening up what he say, but that ain't me. We already have that. To have those dynamics where you taking your people, your children from some public school or whatever, you got to have a lot of dynamics in play. You got to have a lot of people working for you. You got to have the curriculum. It's more than just having a building. That means you open 5 days a week. You got to have a lunch program. You got to have students. You got to have principals. You got to have so many variables to make this functioning body. Not just something to look to collect dollars, but to have it rocking. You have to have all the parts for it to be a functioning body, which you call a school for boys. I don't want to take our kids from nowhere. I'm giving them something to add value to. 7th hour. And it's somewhere where they don't have school. You know, a learning center, mentorship, all that in the house as they're going, learning to deal with different people, different nationalities. You know, if we get to that level, so be it. But this is the power that we have as a people, what? With our own tax dollars. That's the power that we have. That's the power that everyone have on here. All the 1,000 followers that I have. And I don't have many followers, and I'm okay with that, because followers is not my mission. I'm here to show people what can be done in real life without a whole bunch of followers, without a whole bunch of people giving just to hear somebody talk crazy and see an older person tell you what they gonna do and buy a whole bunch of gold chains and be crazy. That's not my mission. It's just gonna take a little longer, and that's fine, you know? So I just want to give a little tittle of that. I'll give a little bit of this mental aspect as we out of here when I talk about the principle of the mind and the principle of the mental. I'll just give a little introduction of that. And if anybody want to add to anything, you can. Like I said, I'm not going to be too long. I know everybody's days is different, you know. My days are different. I'm in Arizona, so it's still early for me. My day don't get started till noon. But when we talk about wisdom and understanding, and I know everybody, I don't want everybody to get caught up with that. Oh, the Jesus is the Savior and all that. If that's your mission, please use that for your page. You know, I'm not here to dispute none of those feelings, but you know how people are on social media. So please, let's be respectable. I want you to just think a little deeper. Especially, I'm talking to my people, you know, which all people that use a higher thinking and have nothing to do with color. So, when I talk about reality and the universe and God and the events and circumstances, that's the mind, that's the mental. And in the scriptures, all beings are mind. That's why I say mind is reality. An all-pervading mirror, like lucid awareness of pure beings. Reality, mind, and individual beings are non-dual. Sentient beings are at the same time individual and indivisible from each other, and the totality of pure being, the nature of reality. Since this is so, you, as an all-pervading lucid awareness, unconsciously or unknowingly, think, talk, and act everything into being in your field of experience, which is your life. And once this is understood, and above all realized, you can consciously and intentionally think, talk, and act everything which serves you and others into being, into the field of experience of your life. And eventually and ultimately, by realizing that you are mind, reality, an all-pervading mirror, like lucid awareness, as an ongoing, uninterrupted experience, you will know the truth that sets you free. That's what the biblical scriptures say. That's what your people say. The truth would set you free. Set you free from what? From illusion. From illusion like the death and hell. From suffering and frustration. From suffering and frustration. Reality, life, existence is like a play or a game per se. But if you don't know the rules, it can and does easily turn into what? A nightmare. You know what? People say, oh, my life is nothing. Oh, so that's the case. You want to kill yourself. That's a nightmare to me, right? Right? That's why when people be trying to say, I need to get here and to get there, I said, get where? That's why I be trying to tell people, I said, get where? Get where? I had a brother, he's not with us no more. He's always welcome back because my door is like a revolving door. He's like, oh, Sheik, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. I said, get where? You go, get where? Get where? When you understand it, it's nowhere to get. When higher enlightenment comes, the understanding is you. The understanding is peace. So when you're trying to get somewhere, it's like I'm getting money, I'm chasing money. Well, you just put a spell on you, not realizing it. When a map and guide is here, when a person try to read something, ingest something that they ain't ready for, and it eats them up. It engulfs them. It engulfs them. What you mean engulf? It take up all your time. And you see nothing happening. I be telling brothers this. I said, man, you got to know balance. But hey, who am I? Balance is map and guide. So pure being, your mind, God, the Brahman, or the Buddha, or the enlightenment cannot be explained through my words, through my concepts, or through my ideas. Yours neither. And its realization cannot be transferred from one being to another. Being each sentient. Being has to realize reality, meaning you do. Pure being as his own experience, and until such a personal realization. Because remember, people say they want to see a sermon, not hear one. You seeing it and hearing it. And as long as one grabs at a seeming duality of the subject and object, there will always be an underlying experience of dissatisfaction, frustration, and suffering. But if one wants to attempt to explain reality, family, the closest explanation that conceptually mind can comprehend, I give it like this. Reality, pure being, mind, all-pervading awareness of pure being God, or Buddha, is an absolute totality or non-duality where all things, events, meanings, and every sentient, being with a consciousness, whether it be an animal, a human, a so-called ghost, you say, a so-called demon, a so-called devil, God, angel, saint, archangel, angel, is not separate from what? The totality of the play of this very reality. But at the same time, and without any contradiction, each one is a complete separate individual, sentient, being capable of realizing himself or herself, right? What I'm saying is, y'all, this individual limited reality is then shared with other beings with a similar condition, limited or perscopic, that mindset through the same laws. Watch this. From infinite, timeless, selfless, and all-pervading pure beings, one ends up as a sentient being imprisoned by all dualities. Remember that. And since all things and all sentient beings are included, these type of beings, non-separate and non-dual as the one reality. This stuff is very, very simple but complex. It's very simple but complex. When people be saying they want to get to the level of wisdom, what wisdom? Nobody owns it. Nobody owns reality. And anybody can realize reality. No one owns the truth. And anybody can realize the truth. Because knowledge overcomes what? All fears. Knowledge overcomes all fears. Because listen to this. There is no truth in any concept of truth. Did you get that? There is no truth in any concept of truth. I know we caught that. I'll give a little preference. We got a little bit more time. The principles of truth are 7. Remember now yesterday how we were breaking wisdom down, and then in Adapt class we broke it down, and earlier in the week I broke down the esoteric Islam, just a little tittle. But the principles of truth are 7. He who knows these understandingly possess the magic key before whose touch all the doors of the temple fly open. Right? So when we talk about, a lot of people say hermetic principles, I like to say the Kemetic principles of reality are being which can be employed in order to change your reality and your life conditions and your circumstances. When our Morse Quran in chapter 5 says the tools in our toolbox, these 7 laws of reality can be regarded as the essential principles of the so-called Western and the Eastern principle, and as spiritual and non-spiritual wisdom traditions. And this is the reason why a lot of science and a lot of wisdom draw many parallelisms with all these different traditions and teachings. Not with the intentions to mix up the different subtle differences between the various wisdom traditions, family, in a kind of mind-strewn soup, but on the contrary, in order to clarify and show how different conceptual paths try to lead to the one and only non-conceptual experience of reality, directly or indirectly according to the different mindsets and beliefs of human beings or the level of where you at in different time periods and cultures. And just another synopsis or analysis, truth always found to be the same, whether stated in modern scientific terms or in the language of ancient religion or philosophy. The only difference being in the form of presentation, always bearing in mind that no human formula will ever be able to describe every side of this understanding. What I'm saying, y'all, is this is not to say that all paths and traditions lead to the experience and realization of reality, but that all paths and traditions forged upon the realization of reality, lead to the experience and realization of reality using different symbols, concepts, and words that fit with a specific culture, time, and place. Now, for reference, Hermes Trismegistus. Y'all remember that? The 3 times great Hermes. I'm going to break some wisdom down, from which the word hermetic in the title derives, was the Greek god or personification of wisdom, equivalent to the Egyptian and the ancient Egyptian god Thoth, right? Or Thoth. And the Buddhist manifestation of wisdom, Manjushri or Manjushri. I hope we know this. The dates of his last incarnation on earth, they say, is not known, but presumably they can be fixed in the early days of the oldest dynasties of Egypt. But I have to pull out my manuals to show you the date, because it's known. Long before the days of Moses, some authorities regarded him as a contemporary of Abraham, and some Jewish traditions claim that Abraham acquired a portion of his mystical knowledge from Hermes himself. Although the name Hermes does not appear in the Quran, early Islamic hagiographers and chroniclers identify Hermes Trismegistus with Idris, whom the Arabs also identified with Enoch. Idris, or Hermes, was termed the 3 wise men. Where? In your Bible. I'm giving you wisdom. But in the real sense, Hermes is wisdom itself. Just like when we talk about Sophia in the Bible. Thus, anything written through that inspiration of true wisdom is in reality written by Hermes, Thoth, or Manjushri. The personage or personalness behind is irrelevant at this stage. I'll teach later. But in the history of humanity on earth, true Hermetic knowledge has been transmitted all the way through the ages, most of the time secretly, remember, through signs and symbols. And many have been holders and adapts, which manifest this knowledge, which I'm giving you just a schoolmaster, not even going deep. Not only in Eastern and Western spiritual traditions, but often as ordinary lay people involved in arts, literature, politics, and science. When I show you things in arts that paint a whole nother picture. Remember, a picture states 1,000 words. An example of this is in the West. In the West are figures like Paracelsus, Leonardo da Vinci, Galileo, Dante Alighieri, Masilio Ficino, Isaac Newton, William Shakespeare, Giordano Bruno, Cornelius Agrippa. Y'all know who Cornelius Agrippa is. William Blake, William Walker, Atkins, Thomas Trott, and Albert Einstein, just to name a few. And in the East, on the other hand, there have been many spiritual adepts or teachers from the Buddhist, Hindu, and other spiritual traditions of knowledge that have realized the truth of the mind and its principles. The Hermetic, aka the Kemetic tradition in particular, speaks of 7 Hermetic principles. Remember, the 7 Kemetic principles is in one of my books. 7 laws of principles which govern reality and being. These are unchangeable laws, like the physical law of gravity, but unlike the law of gravity, they apply to all the different levels of reality. Mind, energy, physical level. These 7 principles were also expanded and commended by the great Hermetic Kemetic scholars and metaphysicians, William Walker Atkins, in his book in 1908 called the Kabbalah, which most of y'all read. But it's nothing but Egyptian science, which I gave you in the beginning. I quoted that in the beginning. So if anybody studied it, we would have caught on to that quote. But the 7 Hermetic Kemetic principles or Kemetic laws of reality are not exclusive of each other. In the same way as the law of gravity is not exclusive of the law of lift on the physical plane, but work in synergy to shape the minds and phenomena of infinite sentient beings and the environment that they're in. You see? So what I'm saying, in practical terms, we can use any law of nature, but we cannot alter it. Think of what I'm saying. I'll give you an analogy. We can use the law of gravity and the law of lift and fly, though the sky, through the sky on an airplane, right? But if you jump off a cliff, gravity will pull you down and you will injure yourself or die, of course. What I'm saying is, we can understand that by opposing any nature law or any natural law, we place ourselves in an invert position with regard to the law itself. And therefore, it appears as though the law itself is working against us with a definite purpose, right? Where in real sense, in reality, this inversion is entirely caused by what? Ourselves. By our lack of, by our ignorance of the law, and not from any change in the action of the law. I hope y'all catching me. 7 Kemetic principles, cause and effects. This is the reason why the theistic religions, one finds the concept of God's punishment, where the real meaning behind it is only one's ignorance and subsequent inverted position in regard to these unchangeable laws of reality. On the other hand, if one has knowledge of these laws, one can use them at one's own advantage by using skillful methods, which will be broke down in a later dissertation because I don't have time. You can achieve new life conditions and fulfillment. Nothing secret, sacred, but nothing secret. You know? The universe are being explained in a very simple and straightforward style. Remember, the Bible tell you the things that are not seen can explain the things that seen, vice versa. Do you have the eye? The student might be tempted to skip and try to do things, but it don't work like that. That's why map and guide, the type of science, the type of Islam we under, the Tasawwuf, that's what we under. You know these basic hermetic, Kemetic laws or principles. You know it. My muftis, you know it. It's in the book I gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. I took all the wisdom and craft and put it in the manual for a child can understand it. So you can defend yourself very well. Defense meaning you can defend you. I ain't say attack. You can defend. Your defense might be so deadly, people might think it's an attack. But your defense may break arms and limbs and faces. But the 7 hermetic laws or Kemetic laws or principles that govern reality. Remember the principle of mind. Remember all is mind. The principle of cause and effect. The principle of vibration and sound. The principle of correspondence. The principle of polarity or opposite. The principle of rhythm or solicity. The principle of gender. I'll give y'all the first principle and we out of here. The first principle of mind could be said to represent the absolute aspect of reality, transcendent and immanent at the same time. The other 6 principles represents the way in which the mind principles manifest as the relative. Watch this. Although in actual fact, both the absolute and the relative are indivisible as non-dual realities itself. So when you talk about the 7 Kemetic principles or the how many chakras, it's one that control all. It's like a car. I take the battery out your car. I don't care how good your carburetor, your radiator, big your engine is. Right? The mind, the fundamental mind, the universal mind, nature of mind, reality and all, pervading lucid awareness, spirit, pure being, wisdom, interchangeably as the intended meanings. It's all the same. It's all the same. When you hear me speak, when I use this is another mystery in the biblical scriptures. Also, reality, pure being, and mind, meaning the potentiality of the all-pervading awareness of pure beings. You know? You got to understand how words are being used. Terms like reality, mind, dualistic mind, dimmed awareness, consciousness, or dualistic consciousness is small when we do it in like small letters per se, to mean exclusively mind's relative limited manifestations in time and space. Why? Because he who hears and he who has ears to hear, let him hear. That's Matthew 13:9. I could take science and wisdom and pull it out from all. I just said that in a different vernacular, right? I know brothers got to understand what I'm saying. When we talk about the all mind, The universe is mind. The principle of mind. The first Hermetic principle says that everything from the whole material universe is what? Energy. The phenomena of life and all the different sentient beings contained therein are nothing other than what? Mind, pure being, all-encompassing awareness. This is an infinite and eternal energy, mentative in its nature, out of and in which all things are evolved, manifestations. All is mind, and all is in mind. All things are centers of mental activity and energy in the great universal ocean of mind energy. What is generally known as spirit or God in the West per se, or to the mortal man, is also the uncreated principle of your mind. Sometimes this mind is called all-pervading ocean of mind power because it contains within itself all the power. You see what I'm saying? Ocean. You see how noble, Brian, that wisdom, that piece of literature I gave you about water, how it flows, and we can use water and break that down to this life force, you know, or to the essence per se, the force and energy that there is. It is the source from which all forms of energy and matter arises. Sometimes it's called infinite living mind because we cannot fully describe it. And it is the source of all life. It can also be defined as infinite, all-pervading, uncreated awareness of what? Pure being. So what are the characteristics of the mind or the reality principle, you may ask? According to the Hermetic, aka Kemetic tradition, reality is an absolute unity. It is a state of total liberty, whole, complete, and perfect as it is, without a cause, infinite and beyond time and space, formless, indivisible, and immutable, immanent and transcendent without contradiction. Reality can also be defined as infinite substance, infinite play or energy, infinite play of life, infinite law, infinite love, and infinite mind. Because mind creates spontaneously according to the circumstances. It is the unconditioned and absolute ground for all that exists. In itself, it is all that is. In its creation, it is all that appears. Therefore, brothers and sisters, the universe, including sentient beings, is manifested and by infinite, all-pervasive, uncreated, and uncompounded mind. And since the Creator and His creations are of the same nature, sentient beings are of the same nature as all-pervasive mind. Because we are made in an image of what? Come on. Moreover, since mind is immanent in its creation, at the heart of every conscious sentient being, there is the presence and power of that pure spirit. It's always present as the ground or potentiality of all appears. Mind is beyond any laws, but its manifestation is governed by that unchanging law. It's in your text. We almost done. The spontaneous will of reality is universal energy, and the pure logic of reality is universal law. Because we know, as Moore's law governs all events, the essence of reality is universal life. There is nothing in the universe which is about non-being. The whole multi-dimensional universe is striving with life and unending being. Therefore, brothers and sisters, the principle of reality always remains itself without any changes, Moors. Indivisible and immutable. And likewise, each sentient being is identical with it in the totality of its essence, of its nature, and its substance, Moors. Reality, mind, can also be described using the three aspects of the potential, the idea, and the concrete. Brothers and sisters, the potential is pure being itself. Mind's potentiality, not particularized in any way, not yet brought into form, nor thought. The idea is is the particularizing of the potential into a certain spontaneous manifestation beyond or without time and space. I'm making it plain. The concrete is the physical manifestation within space and time in visible form. You know what your Bible speaks of? Mind, pure being, and beings with the S, having established the characteristics of mind. Now I'm going to analyze how the relationship between mind and sentient beings. You need this. I'm only going to give this description of this mental, giving you a pictorial per se. Since all pervasive mind is infinite in space, right? There is no finite spot which can be considered essential or a center. And yet, at the same time, every point of activity may be called its center. Look how powerful this mind is. Mind extends in every direction, infinitely. And its circumference, the circumference is non-existence. The great ocean, here we go, talk about water, the great ocean of all pervasive mind has its center everywhere and its circumference nowhere. Woo! This great ocean of the mind, remember, oneself, is filled with an infinite number of centers of energy, where each dynamic individual being, each one of you, is such a center for yourself or herself, a center of living, a will, you will. And each one has the whole universe or dimension circling and revolving around you. You see, brothers and sisters, to give you a pictorial to symbolize this relationship between mind and beings, some spiritual teachings employ the symbol of a circle with a dot in the middle. Some beings are the center of a tiny dimension, and some have a huge dimension revolving around them. There are centers so expanded and exalted that the human mind cannot grasp. But even the tiniest point of activity is a center in itself and for itself, brothers and sisters. That's why I said the wealthy man, the wealthy woman does what? Create. The lucid expanse of pure being and beings are integrated beyond any finite conceptual logic. Remember, I told you, when you're trying to deal with man's logic, sometimes it's not working. The principle of the great ocean of mind also entails that infinite space and all contained therein is occupied by what? The mind. And all persuasive awareness is pulsating. You know how the mind pulsates with life and energy, in the depth of which there is a timeless calm, and on the surface of which are waves, currents, whirlpools pulsating in a rhythmic fashion. You see this poetry? This Islamic poetry per se? Each dynamic individual being is the center and the totality of the infinite universe revolving around you and I. This is Bible scripture. I'm just putting it in different synonyms. And yet there are virtually infinite numbers of beings. As far as space extends, there is the infinite principle of being an infinite number of beings to fill the vast expanse of mind. Brothers and sisters, my Moorish brothers and sisters, the individual or personal manifestations of the mind are centers of mentative energy in that great ocean of your universal mentative energy. My Moorish brothers and sisters, although no example can fit the description of reality, one possible example could be an ocean. My Moorish brothers and sisters, an infinite body of water, where water is the totality and at the same time infinitely individualized in each water molecule. Another example, my Moorish brothers and sisters, is the sky or the space. Look at this pictorial, my Moorish brothers and sisters. In this case, and aware as all pervasive reflective space, at the same time generalized as the totality of all events and meanings, and all individual reflecting itself as aware individual beings. So what I'm saying, my Moorish brothers and sisters, all sentient beings are self-reflections of the uncreated, all pervading, pure and lucid, expansive of pure beings, which recognize itself through them. Give me a minute. Hold on 1 second. I gotta grab something. I'm sorry. Yep. That's why a lot of my friends be saying, I know, I'll say myself, how can I be so selfish, right, to have something and only do it for the dollar? How can I say I have the key to life to help my brothers and sisters and only do it for the dollars? And I don't come over here and do things for donations. How? How can I be a person that say, man, I have something and don't spread it, even though a workman is due is higher? That's why I explain to people. That's why I do this work. For those that may be like, man, it's a secret. It ain't nothing secret. I'm just like the prophet. I came to remove the veil on all secret societies to give you all wisdom. The work has been done. I've been in the tabernacle and the pyramids for over 20 years. You know, learning. And so I'm not just going to do it for the dollar. I love to do this. Just like if I was a basketball player or anything, I'd do it for the love as well, even though I'd be getting paid. I set up my organization, my nonprofits like I'm doing, to be able to do this for donations in our community once it pick up. And I won't have to do other things, you know? But let's proceed. We got a little bit more to go. Y'all want me to proceed? Let me know. If y'all want to stop right there, I can give the mind's generic character. Because there's a lot about the mind. I got, like the mind's generic character. That generic character of the universal mind power, which can be summed up in words: total universal goodness, beyond the relative conflicting concepts of good and evil per se. Because as I teach, as a map and a guide, the pendulum swings where? The same way to the left as it does to the right. That must be understood. That must be able to be broken down. Whether one is a human being, an animal, a ghost, whatever, an angel, demon, whatever you want to say, one's fundamental mind of pure being does not change in any way. It is and remains a total universal goodness beyond the relative conflicting concepts of good and evil. Stay in context. The genetic and the generic tendency or expressive power is always toward more life, wisdom, love, liberty, both in generic and individual terms. Since it is a universal principle, it can have no particular interest to serve. And therefore, its activities, my Moorish brothers and sisters, are always equal. You heard what I just said? The pendulum swings the same way to the left as it does to the right. So that's what? Equal. For this reason, on the relative level, the positive pole, now we're talking about poles and polarities, being closer to its essential principle, always overcomes what? The negative pole per se. Remember, when you use the concept as water, electricity, or any other physical force, will not work contrary to its what? Generic character. What I'm saying, my Moorish brothers and sisters, therefore mind will not work contrary to its generic character. Stay in context. Nevertheless, one can so easily place oneself in an inverted position in regard to it. And therefore, brothers and sisters, my Moorish brothers and sisters, even though it appears as the principle itself is working against one with a definite purpose per se. Remember, this inversion is entirely caused by who? You, the individual, and not from any change in the generic character of that principle. To sum it up, it's not the generic character of the all-pervasive mind which creates strife in the world, but it's the inherent freedom within the mind that allows each individual being to not recognize his or her identity with mind, and therefore place yourself in an inverted position regard to your mind's generic character, followed by the what? Subsequent suffering that it entails, which manifests through what? The law of what? Cause and effect. You see? And the principle of the all-pervading mind, and the fact that one is always the center of this infinite play of reality for oneself. It accounts for all the claims that have ever been made for the creative powers of one's intentional thoughts over phenomena. The reason lies in the fact that each being is the center of his or her own universe made up of your mind, and therefore has the power by directing his or her own intentions. That's your God. Thoughts and emotions, energy, to control or shape all things contained. And if the universe is in essence a manifestation of all pervasive mind, and therefore made up of that mind matter, then mind must have the highest power over its phenomena. Think about that, brothers and sisters, my Moorish brothers and sisters. This is why, without some degree of understanding of the first principle, all the methods explained that I can give later will work only to a certain degree. Right? Right? For in him we live and move and have our beings. That's Acts 17:28. Remember? In the book of Exodus per se, God commands Moses to tell the people that the one who is has sent me. The original four letters express the name of God per se, translated as the Latin letters YHWH. The Jehovah Witnesses know it. It's in their little blue book, not the one that they reprinted. Most likely pronounced, they say Yahweh. Okay, we roll with that. And are derived from a verb that means to be. So the most likely translation would be the one who is. You know, some grammar, not all grammar, tells us that the verb to be is a substantive verb that is belonging to the real or essential nature of a thing. Therefore, it does not indicate any action passing from the subject to another or to an object per se. This being so, when we come to examine the nature, the attributes, and the qualities of pure being, my Moorish brothers and sisters, we are forced to use the term potentiality instead of actuality. Although the most accurate translation of the name of God will simply be being, or the one who is per se. You know, we can argue about that, but hey, not argue, but, you know, have other words to describe the same thing, and that's okay, since the principle is always individualized in the same sense that we need someone to express it. And many spiritual teachers use the term I am. I, because it is individualized, but at the same time, selfless, without identity, not a separate being, out there. Am, because it is always in a state of being, beyond all dualities of birth and death. This should also not cause the confusion of identifying the name God per se with some self-entity external to the play of reality. But on the contrary, we should understand that God per se as the fundamental expansive of pure being, or pure beginningness, a mirror-like, all-pervading awareness beyond the limitation of external or internal, one or more, time and space residing at the heart of each sentient being, my Moorish brothers and sisters. From this substantive, pure potentiality, there flows out an active verb which reproduces an action. What the I am is in essence, creation is in essence the same as what has started the creation. And if God is pure being, what is the devil spoken of in the Bible? You know? Think about this. I'm showing you how when we talk about the thought process, the devil is the general aspect, is the possibility of not recognizing one's identity with the one who is, the God per se, straying into dualism and the grasping at duality of the subject and the object. What I'm saying, my Moorish brothers and sisters, in its individual aspect, the devil per se is the personification and symbol of the sentient beings, the dualistic limitations due to not knowing their identity with God per se, and all the negative intentions and actions that sprout because of that limitation. What I'm saying, my Moorish brothers and sisters, in a nutshell, the devil per se is conceptual limitations. Its number, the 666, in this context, not 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, stay in context. Spoken of in the Bible is the repetition, the dualism of the three indivisible aspects of pure being and reality. When they say the Father, the Holy Spirit, and the Son per se, or the potential, the ideal, and the concrete, or the essence, the nature, and the responsiveness, etc., and so on. What I'm saying, my Moorish brothers and sisters, God per se is the selfless and the timeless presence of the one who is an individualized essence of mirror-like awareness of pure being, beyond subject and object or gender, residing at the heart of each manifest sentient being, whether it be a God per se, a human, animal, spirit, angel, or demon per se. This mirror-like, all-pervading awareness of being is capable of reflecting itself into infinite forms. Peace, noble Malik. Not like inherent phantoms, but forms of sentient beings, which have the freedom of own self, awareness, and also the capacity of recognizing their own sources as pure. What do you say? I gotta read everything, man, because I got my GCU log up. He said, man, that's what you was gonna. He was like, man, we got the notes today. Yep. 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 But I just wanted to give a little bit of introduction. Like, I speak of the 7 Kemetic principles in one of my books, you know. And I always talk about how our Moorish Quran talks about these things, and even in the Exhuming of the Nation, it was a little deeper than that. That's why I'll be laughing at a lot of brothers when they be having things. I said, just because you have something don't mean you understand it, don't mean you understand the language, you know? And then just because you have something don't mean you study it and you understand it. Some people just have things. Some people just have things. And that's okay as well. That's why we're a temple in school. But like when we talk about the third eye, or in the biblical scripture, the pineal gland, aka your chakras, and then a person say, well, no, we're all needing to do this and do that because you're not old enough and you don't understand tools. As we just broke down, we were talking about certain tools, and in that craft, as I was talking about a different type of wisdom, if anybody is my close companion, they'll say, oh, Sheikh broke that down in one of his books with the 7 Kemetic principles. You know? Broke down in a whole nother manifestation, easy. Because, you know, our Moorish Quran talks about the Brahmin text and the Vedas. You know? Like when I talk about we respect and obey all the laws of the prophet, Jesus, Buddha, Confucius, Muhammad per se. Well, if you respect all of them, you got to respect your brother that represents that illuminate that in the flesh. That's why I be saying it's like why we can't love our brothers that's teaching the right way and do the same work and support the same way that if it was the prophet or if anyone else. Everything starts. But in a mirror surface or the surface of a vessel, a woman, as she adorns herself, sees her face, though her entire face seems to appear in these. It is neither existence nor non-existence there. All phenomena should be known to be like that. That's a Buddhist wisdom. You know? Remember I said a lot of things weren't church, they were schools. In a Buddhist tradition, it's a particular school of thought called mind only. Or, I might be pronunciating it wrong for all my Buddhist practitioners. Apology for my mispronunciation. I should be pronunciating it right, but you know, my tongue messed up. But it's the Chitta Matara, or the doctrine of consciousness, or the Vijnanavada, the Vijnana Vada, the mind only tenet system asserts that there are no such things as external phenomena. Mind as a non-dual self, aware consciousness, is an absolute reality. It is founded upon the Buddhist statement that all three worlds are mind only. And it's expressed mainly in the Buddhist script, like the Lakshvatara and the Dashbhamukya, the Sutra, according to the mind only philosophical school of thought. When we see a table per se, the visual form of the table that we see does not exist separately from the visual consciousness to which it appears, my Moorish brothers and sisters. When several people see a table at the same time, each person is experiencing the ripening of tendencies, which we like to call in our Buddhist science the karmic seeds, my Moorish brothers and sisters, of the collective karma on his or her own mental continuum. It is not that each person is seeing a common table. Nevertheless, my Moorish brothers and sisters, the table is findable and everyone can point to the same table. But in terms of what each person is experiencing in the visual cognition of the visual form of the table, the visual form and the visual consciousness, seeing it come from or shape the same source, which is a karmic ground. They arise simultaneously. It arises simultaneously from as part of a single cognition, without coming from different sources. Therefore, the great Buddhist mind that we are, the mind only teachers, in some work that I can tell you, it says that in awareness, which is your mind, which arises in the appearance of the external objects, living beings, cells, and sense data. Thus is nothing but awareness itself that appears externally to be things and persons, and internally to be a self-perceiving sense data. And since objects which appear to be out there are nothing but awareness itself, my Moorish brothers and sisters, what we regard as reality is an illusionary manifestation of your mind. Another important feature of this system is the concept of the 8 types or aspects of consciousness. These 8 types of consciousness should be understood as different aspects of the mind or consciousness of an enlightened individual, sentient being, and not as a separate, unconnected entities. Although their function in shaping our external and internal realities is different, Moors. In general, the Buddhist scriptures talk of the 5 aspects of consciousness, right? It talk about the 5 aspects of consciousness, 5 sensory consciousness plus a mental consciousness. But in the mind, in the school, 2 more types of consciousness are added to the 5. The afflicted mind consciousness and the storehouse or ground consciousness. So the 5 sense consciousness arise in conjunction with the 5 principal sense faculties, and the 6th consciousness arise in the conjunction with the faculty of the conscious mind. We almost there. The sixth consciousness is also called the intermediate consciousness, or the consciousness following intermediate upon arising of sense perception. Because as soon as a sensory, brothers and sisters, as soon as that perception, such as form, occurs, the mental concept of that form immediately arises. Then the sixth mental consciousness, like the sensory consciousness, exists one instant and ceases in the next moment. You see this pattern? The seventh consciousness, the afflicted mind consciousness, or the ego consciousness, is the ego principle itself, the principle of self-individualism, right? So I don't want to go all through that because that's not what I want to do. I'm showing you how it all goes to your mind and in all spiritual essences. If you have the eye to see, if the God man, if the map and the guide is going to be a true map and a guide, a true shaman, a true medicine man, he's going to not be biased of no crafts. Why? Because this is Tasawwuf. And as a map and a guide, you should be well versed in those crafts that synonymous to the same. You know, it's the same. It's the same. There is nothing to clear away and nothing to be established. Reality views reality. To see that is liberation. You see? Mind has no shape. It has no color. It has no existence. It is like space. And though reflections may appear within a mirror, they do not exist. And if we do not know the appearances of mind as mere appearances, the duality of conceptual thinking will arise. And since experience of every phenomena is equivalent to the center of open space, manifesting formations are all appearances like illusions, right? I hope we just got something for what I'm saying, because the mind is the universal seed. You know that? You know that? All different fasts, a Tibetan Buddhist tradition, they call it the Dosjin or the Doschin, Dozgchen. You know, that's the principle of the mind and reality. That term means total perfection or total completeness, and it refers to the true nature of reality, the phenomena, and of each individual sentient being as total, perfect, and complete as it is. I told y'all, you don't have to cut a part of you off the dot. Part of you, even you know, God didn't create you in no image of no junk. It would be contradiction of his word. You see? The category of the mind, the SEMD, the SEMDE. A refutation is made that the 8 aspects of consciousness and the whole universe or appearance of the mind are mind, but a more precise assertion is made that the appearances and the phenomena are the projections or the self-manifestation reflections of the nature of the mind, or that mind principle, y'all. I'm trying to tell you it's all about they're not separate entities. You got to know this. Just like a mirror doesn't have any plans or intentions to reflect, but it is. It's just part of its what? Potentiality to do what? Reflect when what? Objects and circumstances present themselves. It's just doing what it's doing. The all-pervasive mind, the mirror-like awareness in its existence. The mind just mirrors about what you put in front of it. I hope y'all catching this power, this heaven or hell per se. I hope y'all catching, I'm speaking in power. Your mind is the mirror, and it's only going to project what image that you put in front of it. Talk to me, man. I'm teaching. The mirror ain't reflected or affected by the good or bad reflections. Come on, man. Come on, my Moorish brothers and sisters. I gave you two aspects of how we can come together with the wisdom and with using our tax dollars and coming together and saying, wait a minute, we can build our religious community and it can happen in a moment and in the twinkle of an eye without us messing our life up because we're giving it to Uncle Sam willingly. That's why I talk about that eye, that single eye that's not conspired by no pyramid. In Moorish science, our eye ain't in no pyramid. It's just like the other analogy of our Moorish fez. Our Moorish fez ain't pinned down. Our tassel is not pinned down. Our tassel flows freely. And any of my books in Moorish science, you see that eye in Exuberant Nation, it ain't composed by no damn pyramid. Our wisdom flows freely. That's that chakra located between the brows, the inward center of your forehead. That ajna means command, boundless perception, infinite wisdom through knowledge of God's self, universal authority through the ajna. One is moved beyond the world of dualities into the peacefulness of what? Neutrality of the cosmos, beyond the pearl of the blue ether planes. This is what I be telling more. I said you cannot get there on your own, and you can't get there just off a book. It's not going to work like that if you don't know the voodoo. Books is just one part. Application is another thing. The meeting of minds, when two or more gather, there is the Holy Spirit. It's levels to get where we need to get, and that's community. It takes involvement. It's no community with one person. That's why I tell people it takes everything to be a map and a guide. It takes character. It takes all this. It takes all those things to be able to do these things, and it takes academia and wisdom. How to be well versed. You know, I don't have a problem with poor righteous teachers, but we more than just poor righteous teachers. You know, physically, the third eye is associated with your pituitary gland. In your Bible, when it talked about the pineal, y'all know this. I'm giving biblical sacredness. The eyes and the brain, because there is the soul resides. That's one of the sacredness, or they like to say the mystery of the Bible, but they don't want you to know because they want to keep you on your knees. Although the ajna radiates from the element light, its colors are what? Purple and indigo. You see on the cross, they said what? Indigo, ivory on there. They were talking about the color of the so-called Messiah. Read in your Moorish Quran, chapter 44 and 7, and tell me what you get. I tell all Moors when they talk about this, that, and the other, that it shows me Moors don't study, they don't have a sheikh, and I'm on the internet showing brothers. And I hear brothers go, the Moorish Zion temple is this. Yeah, stop the cap. You ain't never been in no temple. And most temples, if they're not going to teach the truth and show, then that entity is wrong. Not the teachings what the prophet gave. That's why I'm saying when it's right here in front of your face, like my noble Malik Noon be saying, it's like, what's the hold up? What B Moors be trying to do is like, it's not a pissing contest. I'm telling you, you're not going to get there on your own. And what are we trying to do when we acquire something? You know? But the third eye, every physical man, you have it. The third eye is much part of your procreation. Every man and every member born with a navel in the human family has their own. You know that. So, when we talk about that eye, I'm not going to go into that, but read your Moorish Quran, chapter 27 and 8. The eyes, the sentinels that watch for thee, yet how often are they able to distinguish truth from error? That's in your Moorish Quran 27 and 8. So right now, if any more than anybody following or dealing with this, you should have been able to see the truth from error. So if you don't have a sheikh, which being part of the Moorish Science Temple and understanding, I'm right here. What's the purpose? Because standing on your square ain't standing with your feet all wide open. That's false too. Standing on your square is following the line, supporting the temple, getting things done the right way. That's standing on your square. Most things change even as the eye watches. So I'm not going to stay all in that, you know. When I tell people read Acts 7, keep your heart and mind purified with what? Love. With love. With love. With love. You know? The third eye, you know? Signs and symbols are for men of understanding. You know? Remember, even like Moses at the burning bush, and that's why we're the burning bush tabernacle science temple and school. People should have caught that. Witnesses, the grace, God's grace speaking in the glow of the brightness. People should see when we the burning bush. As soon as you get here and see the word that are coming out of my mouth and see my brothers and its unity, that should be like a brightness or a glow. It should. It should. And then if anybody been following me on YouTube, you can go all the way back and be like, man, this man been solid from day one. What? Clean glass. But the third eye, all seeing eye, Daystar, all that stuff, you can call it whatever you want to. You know? You know? What is the purpose of the third eye? You know? Read your Moorish Quran, chapter 7 and 17. Read it. The power in the eye is directed by man's thinking while using the breath. The breath is a force and is recognized as divine love. And without this power of love, divine, no one can use the eye to see the truth within. And I tell you, the truth, good and evil, works through man. This is what I'll be telling people. When you're dealing with someone and it's something being given to you or introduced to you, and you getting introduced to you for way less than what you would pay for it, that's the Holy Spirit. So that's God working through man. And we go right through it. It's the analogy if you out in the sea and a boat come by and you say, no, I'm waiting for God. Somebody come by in another boat, help you with blah, blah, blah. You know the story. And then you start sinking. Then you start asking God, why you forsaking me? And God said, I sent me through these people because I work through individuals. It's no miracle. It's not no rope finna come down to the middle of heaven and pick you up and you finna fly and be home. That ain't reality. Reality is your brother that look like you, that's been through the fire, that's been through academia, that's been through the chambers, that's an elder, that conferred degrees, that's a sheikh, meaning a brother of a group of men that can get other men. That's what this is about. So the Holy Spirit is working through man. And if we're going through that source, well, why we don't like to pay homage? Why don't we like to fall in line? Why don't we want to build something in the flesh that can be done? This is the wisdom that can be spread. The third eye awareness activates the powers. The third eye is only the gateway leading to the heart of man. That's why my muftis can tell you. Once I look at people's eyes, I know they angle. Any of my mufti can tell you, they'll be like, it ain't nothing you can do to sheep. He gonna give you anything you ask for. He ain't hating. Whatever you do with it, great. I said anybody can be greater than I. But for me, I ain't no competition with no man. I want us to be great, and we can be great together. We don't let the lower self break up what's good. That's the lower spirit. The lower spirit want us to break off. When you break off, that's not community. When you come together, that's unity. That's a part of a community. That's when we become electric. You know? Read your Moorish Quran chapter 7 and verse 27. Every Moorish should know what I'm saying. Everything that I talk about, I give you scripture, Quranic, and right now I'm talking to my Moors brothers, reading your Moorish Quran chapter 7 and 27 and tell me what you get. Somebody, most Moors probably never read it. We talk about the Egyptian Adapt Master. It's right here. I don't even need none of these, but that's why I said all these books, we can burn them up and I can rewrite the manual, which I've done in my books that's gathered and compiled. I'm telling you. A lot of books that I have, they're getting ready to start the whole book burning process again. The book burning process, where a lot of books that I have, they're going to be thousands of dollars because I think they be listening to my lectures. My professor said, yes, they do, and people learn from you, which is good. But I told people, even my muftis, how books go up. Now these books, $1,000, $2,000, nobody have the money, but we got them. We got them. That's why I tell y'all, we ain't got to make nobody else rich. We can make this entity rich right here. And one day, a person can say, man, let's go get these books from this brother. A Moor can right now today say, man, I'm about to go on Moorish Haberdasher right now, buy me a fez, buy me a turban right now today, instead of saying what we need. Because everything we need, we can get it. Let me give you an analogy. If anybody on here smoked the Indian cigarette, which is pot, I bet you got some. I bet you anybody that smoked, they don't say, oh, I need to get me some weed. You gonna go get it. You're gonna get it. It's in your budget. So when I'm talking about this and support something that we say we love, we always say what we don't have. And that's why I say that's the negative energy. You can't be rocking with your third eye. You can't be rocking with your third eye. And then when you have choices, because everything I've been talking about is a choice, cause and effect. The 7 Kemetic principles, which I've been talking about, clearly When I talk about simple stuff with my muftis, the choice. And if somebody making that choice over this, then that tells me something about us as adults. What's more important? You can't deny what I'm saying. So anything that a person is reading or whatever is meaningless. Why? Because this is being put over this. Like when Amor hit me up last night. He was like, man, Sheik, I need a Fez. He was like, man, but my money. Man, I done went on this brother Fez. I ain't gonna embarrass the brother. Man, he designer everything. Designer everything. That's why I be saying, I'm like, are y'all lies fake or what? Because why do Moors come to me? Oh man, I gotta get a job. Well, clearly it don't seem like you need a job on social media with all the designer and all them expensive ass bottles of cheap liquor. With all that weed, you got bundled the weed, you know what I mean? No disrespect, I'm just saying. And then how can we say, oh man, I don't have $200 for a Fez? Or I don't have money for a turban, or I don't have money to get a she-mag, or I don't have money to get PDF books from this brother, and he'll give me a deal. And if anybody know me personally, you do business with me, I'm going to give you deals. Why? Because I'm the source. You can't go to Amazon and say, oh man, the brother gave me an extra book or 2 extra books. You can't buy a Fez from me and say, damn, the brother gave me a she-mag as well with it. I don't even know how to tie the damn she-mag. The brother did one-on-one with me to show me how to tie my she-mag. Why? Because Negroes be having that damn turban on their head that look like they just come from chemotherapy. I'm not disrespecting no one. I said, you know the cap, the dupe. I said, man, wrap your turban. I can understand if you first start wearing that, and then that's the easy route, because we all have been there. We all have been there. But I'm saying, as you go, don't you want to learn how to wrap your turban? Don't you want to learn how to take the time, because that's part of your spiritualness? Don't you want to learn how to wrap your turban and your she-mag? I will hope so. I will hope so. So, any questions, man? Any questions? Any questions? And that's all I say, because me and my muftis, if we say this is part of our culture, all my muftis got plenty turbans. They purchase some. I've given them some. All my muftis, oh, damn, Malik, I got to get your other Fez. My bad. I'm glad I'm talking about that, because his head growing. He got a big head, little head, and all this playing. But I almost forgot about your Fez, and I didn't, but it slipped my mind. But we provide all that at MooresHaberdasher.com. And then if Moors know me, then come on. We have regalia, noble shirts, so much stuff on our page. But simply wearing your Fez, wearing your turban is just simple homage. That's what I'm saying when people want to get books. And people get books, then you look at their life, you look how they represent, it's like, huh? It's like you don't even identify as that. Then you're not even pleasurable. It's like, why are you getting this knowledge? What this has made you even worse than before. And a lot of that happened to a lot of my brothers that was dealing with us, and we tried to correct that lower self. But a lot of times the ego prevails a lot of people, and it takes them on their own path without guidance. And a lot of times those people have to stumble a plethora of times. And a lot of people be stumbling over the same thing that they stumbled before that brought them to true teachings. But when you come here, ask any of my muftis, it's just accountability. What? Of doing things that you say you want to do. That's it. That's all. The accountability of if you got any problems, any vices, anything, you can fix that. You know, you don't be a pest when you in the world. You know, it's about understanding and building and taking care of the inner. And that's what we do here at the BBT. And that's where I say I know we can do any other work that we say we want to do if brothers and sisters really put their mind and our money. I'm telling you, it can happen, and nothing changes our lives. What do Matthew 6:22 says? Y'all know what Matthew 6:22 says in your Bible. You know? Y'all know what it says. What does Luke 11:34 and 35 say? Brothers and sisters, all you got to do is look those up. It's so much more Quran, scriptures in our Moorish Quran that I can reference. You know? Read Moorish Quran chapter 5, verse 20 and 21. You know? Life is spent to build the temple of the perfected man. It is within faith, hope, and love which man must use to reach up to the dome of purity of life. That's your Moorish Quran 5, 20 and 21. what he has done, all men shall do, and greater. Moore's Quran 19 and 30. I ask my brothers and sisters, read the Bible, Matthew 6 and 22. Let me get it. Let me see what it says. I know what it says. Matthew 6, verse 22. It's talking about the eye single. The eye is the lamp of the body. If your eyes are healthy, yeah, your whole body will be full of light. But it says, if therefore thy eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. Luke 11, 34 and 35. The light of the body is the eye. Therefore, when thy eye is single, the pineal, the whole body is full of what? Light. But when the eye is closed, evil, the body is full of darkness. Take heed, therefore, that the light which is thee be not darkness. So I hope people caught a little bit of that wisdom. Like I said, we're done. I'm going to sit back. I got about an hour and a half before I'm out of here. I'll be back about like 5 p.m. Going to have a good day. But like I said, family, a lot of times people and a lot of people we meet may not have went through academia. Maybe some have. Not saying that no one is better than the next or vice versa. I just had the pleasure to get 2 degrees, and I have the pleasure to go places where people know my name and be able to speak to students. The things that I talk about here with y'all, the plethora of books that I share with y'all, it's just a little bit more, how can I say, accepted there, because those, I'm dealing with people that's, studying and going to school and studying African American history and studying religion and getting degrees in religion and having to write papers in APA format and this and that and the other. And that's why I say I speak about that, and I just gave honor to that. And it just tasteless for me when I see our brothers and sisters, especially Islamic people, still using the phrase black, but then dissing academia and talk about academia is the white man stuff because they don't have education. And they promulgating that black stuff, which is not education. So that's what I'm saying. We cannot diss academia, because I'm telling you, just like Dr. Ben, just like John Henry Clark, just like Sheikh Anta Diop, just like Dr. Francis Cross Wilson, just like Chancellor Wilson, Amos Wilson. We dealing with educators. We dealing with people that lecture on college campuses that are able to pull out information. And we not debating our brothers. They should know. What we doing is showing you that if you're a brother and if you're an educator, something's wrong, because the truth is here. And if Europeans can talk about it, and if I not debate it, but have conversations with Europeans, Albions, Trelodikes, Jewish professors, just like Dr. Ben had done when he debated the rabbi and corrected the teaching from love, not how nobody feel, then what should be the problem with my brothers? That's why I'm telling y'all, I have an honor, and it gives me privilege to come on here and give this. But I wish the day wakes up so we can be just like these other organizations that I speak at, that have their synagogues, that have they Masonic temples, and they being supported by the money that we give Uncle Sam. And they diverting it. And they like, well, you got the blueprint, brother. And I just hope, it catch fire one day. That's why I say we can do a lot, y'all. And it's a lot that comes with the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School. Any questions as we close, as we get out of here? Any questions? But Moors, if y'all need a fez, if y'all need turbans, go on moorshaberdasher.com and get you a fez. Get you a turban. Then hit me up and say, Sheik, I ordered a fez. I'm going to give you something. I'm going to give you a turban to show you how to wrap the long turbans, because this is a turban. And also we wear she-mags. The she-mags is the other style with the fringes on them. Some may not have fringes. And we'll show you how to tie your Moorish turban and she-mag. And we have everything for the culture. We have tunics, cotton or silk. And when you connect it to me, man, some things that we have in our warehouse may not be on the page because we upgrade it accordingly to the seasons and as I get items. I haven't been wholesaling lately. I'm getting ready to go back. I'm going to my 30-year class reunion back in Flint, Michigan at the end of this week. But I got somebody working with me, and we getting new items on there as far as Moorish regalia. But a lot of the shirts, like the Icon shirts, a lot of the Noble shirts, a lot of the Moorish Saatchi shirts, go on there, check it out. I got polo shirts named in memory of my baby brother, Akil Jelani Goodman Bey. We got workout apparel. We got dad hats. We got our own polo style. And I say check Moore's Haberdasher out and support something that's dope. We got good clothing. We don't need nothing cheap, and it support what we doing. But if anybody got any questions, anything, like I said, please hit me up. I can build your library. If anybody purchased anything from me lately, you know I can give you gifts. I always try to explain to my brothers and sisters when we do business, because no disrespect to no one. I only get this from my own kind. I have PDF book company and binded book company. When you deal with PDF, my PDF, those books are ebooks. You just download them on your tablet. The reason why I created that, because I got a lot of feedback from college students was like, Sheik, well, could you create something where we don't have to pay all that much money for the books? Like, can you convert them to ebooks or PDF? Yes. Now they can have them on their tablet and they travel with them. Then they get them printed and binded as they want. I created that. Now, bindedbooks.com is you can go on Amazon and look at those books on Amazon, how much they cost, and look how much we sell them for and bind them. So binded books, you get that. But if you close to me, if you a student or a member, but mostly students that support at least $40 a month, you connect to me, and I give you bundles of books for donations. Where, and we tell our friends to frequent our companies. But when you connect it to me, I help you build your library systematically instead of going all over the place. It's the analogy if you say, man, I want to learn Wing Chun, and I'm a Wing Chun master student, and you say, well, I'm gonna go get this book, and you and everybody laughing at you as they go into the dojo studying with me, and I'm the one that give them the books and teach the books and teach them the styles, how to stance and all that. And the person say, well, no, man, I wanted to get the book from the teacher. And they like, well, he's the damn teacher. They're like, what you reading might not get you to where you're getting it. Wisdom is good, but you want to deal with science that's applicable. Like, I wouldn't teach a kid multiplication before I teach them mathematics. I teach them mathematics first. Why? Because that's the system that I'm going to teach you. So you won't be all over the place. So when you have these tools in the toolbox, you won't this or that. Why? Because you may have to go in the toolbox and use that tool or what for that specific job. That's how I be teaching brothers. But brothers be getting beside themselves and they try to read. And then you look at their lives, it's in shambles. They be like, oh man, I'm still trying to get a job. They be like, oh man, this is all I have. Okay, so if all that wisdom is good, it's not relaying in life, something's wrong. Because wisdom have to be applied. Jobs, when a person say a job ain't just going to a 9 to 5. It's whatever you do to get a bag. I went to the university to create. I've worked a plethora of 9 to 5. When my Muftis first met me, I used to work 3 jobs at one time. People say, how? Because I did it. I did it for years. I ran a suit store. I did behavioral health therapy. And I was a trainer. All 3. And I did that shit about 7 days a week. Some days I asked my empress. Some days I work, didn't come home till 2 in the morning. Just for certain things and schedules. And going different places in certain times and traveling. And so what I'm telling people, hey man, once you create, wealth is creating. And I hope we do business with each other. Please, I'm asking my family, MooresHaberdasher.com, mypdfbooks.com, bindedbooks.com, and deal with me. And I can help you build your library. Anybody got any questions? If not, we out of here. Thank y'all for y'all time. I love y'all. I'm going to see y'all later on today about maybe about 5:30 because I love giving wisdom and we building that database. And I hope it picks up. If you got a podcast or you starting something, I'll come on your podcast and talk about some real history, some science. I bless people with books and wisdoms. I can do that. I give gifts. I want people to have things. I got a book right now called Criminalizing a Race Theory. Let's see how much that book costs on Amazon still. As we close. Let's see. Let's see how much this book costs on Amazon still. I got so much books called stacks on Amazon. Let's see. Let's see. I gotta get out of here. I want to sit back for a minute. shoot, man. I can't. Man, where's that book? I think that's the name of it. I don't know where I put it, but it stacks. It stacks on Amazon. That's all I know. Look at this book. Let's see how much melanin is. The Chemical Key to Black Greatness. Let's see how much this book costs. Look, dang! Look, I got this book. I got the original book, and we printed and bind it. Dang! Look how much that book costs. $2,499. What you think in that book, family? Somebody talk to me real fast. Y'all see how much that book costs? Did y'all see how much that book costs? This book right here. This book right here. Watch this, y'all. Hold on. This book right here, y'all. I just showed you how much this costs. $2,499. $2,499. I lectured this on the college campus. I printed and bind it. All the students bought it for $100. Every student. Every student. They was like, but it's $3,000 on Amazon. And then they said it's a used book. They were like, why don't your people get dude? I was like, I don't know. They were like, oh, they're going to be mad you get rich like Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos ain't going to help them. They say, don't they know you help everybody? Here it is. This book is almost $2,500 on Amazon. $2,500 on Amazon. And it's right here. It's right here. So, put that price in your head. I'm finna do another book. I'm gonna show you the value of what I'm talking about. That was $2,500, right? That was $2,500. Let's see, can I find this other book? It might be unavailable. When I show you the value of wisdom. Hold on, y'all. When nobody don't have to send you to nobody else's bookstore. You like, the brother got his own bookstore. All right. All right, here go the book right here. This just the cover in black and white, because when I printed it, I didn't want to send it to the brother in black and white. I have the cover in color. This is just, I kept this copy. Look how much this book costs. $755. $755. Paperbacks. I got the original book over there in the corner. $755, y'all. $755. Paper. For paper. For paper. And then people are like, well, I don't want a PDF. It ain't the whole. It is the whole book. I got all original books. What are we talking about? All these books I printed from the books that I have. What are we talking about? But you ain't gonna spend $800 for no book. I know that. I know that for a fact. Let me put this one. I got two more. Let's see. I had a plethora more, but I can't pull them out. I'm going to pull out my Russian icons. Okay, I'm glad this one ain't expensive. But they play with this book. Sacred Drift by Peter Lambert Wilson. You see the who on the cover? Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Prophet Noble Drew Ali. It's $46, but it's gonna go up. I got it right. I got them right here. They play with that book. They play with that book a lot. Let's see. Let's see how much they got. Okay. Okay. It ain't that expensive, but it still costs. $144, right? Golden Age of the Moors. Got them right here. All the books. So you can do the math for just the number of that right there that I gave you. That's over $3,000 for 1, 2, 3, just for 4 books. 4 books. 4 books, y'all. I just showed you over $3,000. Huh? Over $3,000. What's in that that it costs $3,000, y'all? Anybody? You know? Nothing. That's what I say. Nothing. So I hope everybody learned something and y'all can see the value of our library that we have. You know, I have an extensive library and I just showed a small fraction of books. I have a plethora of books, expensive books, books that cost all different numbers, all different walks of wisdom. Oh, it's another book that I got right here. I want to show y'all this one. And I tried to tell people that it was going to go up astronomically once I got shadow banned for 30 days on Amazon. This book right here is called Without Sanctuary. Let me see how much this book costs now on Amazon. Let me see. I know it costs. Because when I was back home, I showed my dad. He was like, huh? Watch this. See how much the book, let's see how much this book costs. Oh, somebody got a used one for $244. Okay. Yeah, right. Let me see, can I blow this up? Let me see, can I blow this up? Because they try to get you with the trick bait. One got it for $244, but when you click on it, it's for $1,990. It's that one, the bottom. It say one new for $244, but when you click on it and try to get it, it goes to the one for $199 for $1,995. Even the one for $244 is over expensive. Cause I got the hard copies for $10. I don't want to show because they're trying to shadow ban me. I got the hard copy for $10, and here it go right here. You see? So, with that being said, I just wanted to show y'all the value of our library and what we have to offer, especially to the student, you know? You don't have to go to Amazon. Anytime you need something, hit me up. Hit me up. Send me an email. Hit me up. Say, Sheik, do you got this book? 9.9999999 times out of 10, I have it. If not, I have a hard copy. It might take me a minute to convert it. But if I don't have it, I'll be honest with you. Or I'll show you how I can get it or what I can do to get it for you for a great price, especially if they're, if you're dealing with ebooks, because I can convert them. But I only like to do expensive books. How? To save you money. That's why I only print and buy expensive books. How? Because it saves you money. If this book I just showed you costs $2,000 something, and I'll let you get the book print and bind it for say $100 or $150 or whatever the cost may be, you know, why not? And you get a tax-exempt receipt, you know? And so that's what I'm telling people. It's like, okay, do you want the book? Do you want the wisdom? Or do you just want to say you spent a whole bunch of money? That's whatever your preference is. But I'm telling you, we can do something good here at the BBT, and we created something as well. for our brothers and sisters to do business with us. And you can contact me if you're confused on anything or if something didn't go right. You can contact me and I'll make it right. Because I don't want nobody to be confused on how we do business or nothing. But I just explained to anyone that we have ebooks and we print and bind expensive and rare books. I want brothers and sisters to know that. And these what I call expensive and rare books. The books that I just showed you cost a grip, and we print and bind them. So you don't have to go and pay all that money for it. And you have it on your tablet, you can print it at any time. That's the value of having an ebook. Or even when you purchase the book from us, we're going to give you the ebook. Why? So you can have it. That's the beauty of that. That's the beauty. It's like an NFT. This holds so much value, the wisdom. Why you think it costs all that money? Is wisdom in here, brothers and sisters. And then I got ancient manuscripts like Abramelin, the Magi. It's 3 volumes. Look up Abramelin, the Magi. That's some of the most holistic, well, I would say Gnostic and inner science that you can see and decipher if you have a true mapping guide like myself and others. I have all these wisdoms. I have all these documents. I have them all for brothers, and I share with my brothers and sisters, and I teach it to do what? Apply it in your life. That's what this is a part of. So, brothers and sisters, when you connect to me, you connect into a source. So please support your brother, man. As I put good spirits on you, I hope you give good spirits on me. Like I said, if you're looking for a fez, a turban, any Moorish regalia, a kufi, a tunic, anything, MoorishHaberdasher.com, or get with me. Hit me up. Send me an email. Goodman, GOODMAN, KHARY @gmail.com. Send me a text to my office phone because I'm gonna be out at 602-473-8767. I won't be able to answer, but I do respond to texts if they're positive and if it's business. If it's bullcrap, I don't even read it. I delete that stuff. But I'm saying, brothers and sisters, get with me. Let's do business. Anything you need, use me as a source. Use your brother as a source. And watch us build our community and watch we do exactly what we say we're going to do. So with that being said, I love y'all. Thank y'all for your time. See y'all later in the evening. Peace, light, and illumination.